Welcome to a new deep dive into four of America's most iconic collectibles. Today, we're exploring a remarkable coin that has quietly climbed in value due to its history, its condition, and the surprising demand among modern collectors. This is your chance to get an up-close look at what truly makes this quarter special. First coin. In the world of numismatics, certain coins stand out not only for their historical significance, but also for their rarity and unique appeal. Among the most intriguing and valuable pieces in American coinage, the 1970 Denver Mint Washington quarter, in a very dirty condition, has garnered a surprising amount of attention. This coin may not seem like much at first glance, but for collectors and enthusiasts, it presents an interesting opportunity for both investment and historical exploration. Whether you've stumbled upon one in your pocket change or you're considering adding it to your collection, this coin represents a fascinating intersection of history, design, and rarity. The 1970 Washington quarter is part of the broader series of Washington quarters that were first minted in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. The coin features a profile of Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, both iconic symbols of American heritage. The 1970 specifically is notable for its relatively low mintage and its place in the later years of the quarter series. By the time the 1970s rolled around, the country had already seen significant shifts in its economy and its minting processes, and this quarter offers a snapshot of that era. While the coin may not carry the same immediate recognition as some of its older counterparts, it holds a unique spot in the history of U.S. coinage. The design of the 1970 Washington quarter itself is one of the most recognizable in American coinage. On the obverse, you'll find a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington's face is depicted in great detail, showcasing his features with a sense of dignity and strength. This portrait was used on the quarter throughout the 20th century and remains one of the most enduring symbols of American currency. On the reverse, you'll see an eagle with its wings spread wide, holding an olive branch in one talon and a bundle of arrows in the other. This imagery symbolizes peace and strength, central themes in American ideals. The mint mark D indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which gives it added significance for collectors who focus on coins from specific mints. When it comes to rarity, the 1970 Washington quarter, in a very dirty condition, is an intriguing case. The coin may not be rare in terms of total mintage. Over 280 million of these quarters were produced. However, the condition of the coin is what truly sets it apart. Coins that are heavily worn, scratched, or tarnished in a way that some might consider dirty are actually quite rare in the market, particularly when it comes to later year coins. These coins, while not pristine, represent a kind of numismatic find for collectors who are interested in the challenges of restoring or preserving coins in suboptimal condition. The very dirtiness of the coin may also speak to its history, where it's been, how it's been handled, and the years it has spent in circulation. While it's true that many collectors prefer coins in mint condition, there is a growing demand for coins that tell a story through their wear and tear. The 1970 Washington quarter, in a very dirty state, holds a special appeal for these collectors. In fact, the unique look of such a coin, covered in grime, dirt, or even discoloration, can add to its charm and value. For certain types of collectors, coins that have a well-worn, lived-in feel are more interesting than pristine examples because they carry a tangible connection to the past. The demand for these types of coins has been steadily increasing, and as the hobby grows, so does the appreciation for the stories that such pieces can tell. In terms of its current market value, the 1970 Washington quarter in very dirty condition can range in value from around $200 to as much as $4,500, depending on its exact condition and level of dirtiness. Although the coin's market value will always be influenced by factors like its overall wear and the specific grade it falls into, the dirtiness can sometimes add an element of rarity that pushes its price higher. Coins that have been in circulation for decades and are still holding onto their historical integrity are becoming more desirable for certain types of collectors. The price can also vary based on where you find the coin and how actively you engage with the marketplace. If you're lucky enough to find one in decent shape, it could even fetch closer to the higher end of that range. As with all collectibles, it's important to keep track of fluctuations in the market and to understand the broader trends in numismatics. When it comes to collecting tips, Condition is paramount, but it's also important to recognize the value in coins that are imperfect. A very dirty coin could be a valuable piece of numismatic history, especially if it shows signs of its journey through circulation. Grading is key, so it's important to have the coin assessed by a reputable numismatist to determine its value accurately. Coins with original luster or somewhere that isn't too extreme can fetch more, while heavily worn or very dirty coins might be considered for their historical value. Always focus on obtaining as much information about the coin's condition, history, and rarity before making any purchasing decision. Additionally, looking in the right places, such as specialized coin shops or online auctions, will increase your chances of finding one of these intriguing pieces. In conclusion, the 1970 D. Washington quarter, in very dirty condition, represents much more than just a coin. It's a piece of history, a collectible with unique charm, and a fascinating specimen for both seasoned and new collectors. While it may not have the same initial appeal as pristine, high-grade coins, its rarity and distinctiveness give it a place in the market and in the hearts of collectors. Whether you're looking for an interesting addition to your collection or a potential investment, this coin stands as a testament to the rich history of U.S. coinage. The story of the 1970 D quarter is far from over, and its future in the world of numismatics remains just as exciting and unpredictable as its past. Next up, the 1971 D. Washington quarter, and the key to its immense value is in that very description. It's supposed to be a $quarter, but this particular coin is missing a critical element that makes it a multi-thousand-dollar error. We're dealing with a 1971 D quarter struck on a planchet intended for a cent, a copper penny blank that somehow found its way into the quarter press at the Denver Mint. The result is a coin that is the wrong color, the wrong weight, and most importantly, the wrong metal composition, making it a spectacular and highly sought-after mint error that stands out dramatically from any regular issue quarter. The year 1971 was a pivotal moment in American coinage, sitting on the cusp of a major transition that gives this error its unique context. The mint was still reeling from the elimination of silver from circulating coinage in 1965, and all quarters were now being struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition. Meanwhile, the humble Lincoln cent was itself in a period of change, having just shifted from a 95% copper composition to a mostly zinc core with a thin copper plating in mid-1982. But in 1971, the cent was still struck on a solid bronze planchet of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This means that when a bronze cent planchet, meant to be a penny, was fed into a press stamping Washington quarters, it created a hybrid that was legally a quarter but physically a cent planchet. The Denver Mint, where this error occurred, was producing massive numbers of coins, and it was in this environment of high-volume production that such a dramatic and wrong planchet error could slip through quality control and enter circulation. Examining this coin requires looking past its dirty, well-circulated condition to see the fundamental design features that confirm its authenticity. The obverse shows the familiar portrait of George Washington by John Flanagan, but the metal is all wrong. Instead of the silvery gray look of copper-nickel clad, the coin exhibits a distinctive bronze or dark coppery tone, especially noticeable on the high points where reveals the underlying metal. The coin will also feel different. It is significantly lighter than a standard quarter. A normal quarter weighs 5.67 grams, while a bronze cent planchet weighs about 3.11 grams. The design details, the date, and the mint mark D are all crisp and correct for a 1971 D quarter, but they are struck on a planchet that is too small and too light. The reverse shows the majestic eagle with outstretched wings, but again, the strike is on that dark, coppery background, a stark visual contradiction to what any collector expects from a modern quarter. The rarity of a 1971 D quarter on a cent planchet cannot be overstated, especially in any condition. These coins were never supposed to exist, and the number that escaped the mint is believed to be incredibly low, perhaps only a handful of examples. Finding one in very dirty, circulated condition is actually the most likely scenario, as these errors, if not caught by collectors immediately, would have entered circulation and spent decades being passed from hand to hand, building up heavy grime and environmental damage. Survivors in any state are monumental rarities. Unlike proof coins or regular issues where mint state examples are the goal, for an error of this magnitude, simply existing is the key. The dirt and circulation tell a story of a coin that lived in the wild, making its survival and eventual discovery all the more remarkable. It is a true needle in a nationwide haystack. Within the series of Washington quarters, and indeed within all modern U.S. coinage, this error stands alone as a premier prize. It represents one of the most dramatic and visually obvious planchet errors possible, confusing the largest and smallest denominations in terms of planchet size. For error collectors, this is a crown jewel, a coin that exemplifies the wrong planchet category. Its appeal transcends the Washington Quarter series and attracts specialists in mint errors, 20th-century type collectors, and anyone seeking a tangible piece of minting history gone awry. The sheer audacity of the mistake, a quarter-sized design on a penny blank, creates a compelling narrative and a visual anomaly that is instantly fascinating, even to non-collectors, ensuring its demand will always far exceed the minuscule supply. When it comes to market value, this coin operates in a stratosphere completely apart from its face value. For a 1971 D Washington quarter on a bronze cent planchet in confirmed, authenticated, but very dirty and well-worn condition, you are looking at a prize that commands a staggering price. Current valuations for this specific error, considering its legendary status and extreme rarity, range from approximately $3,500 on the very conservative end for a heavily circulated and damaged example, up to and exceeding $12,000 or more for a problem-free but worn coin. The dirty surface does impact the price compared to a mint-state example, but it does not diminish the core value of the error itself. At auction, even corroded or hold examples have sold for several $1,000s, as the fundamental nature of the error is what collectors are paying for. In today's market, a legitimate example will be a 5-figure transaction. For collectors hoping to find one of these treasures, the approach must be one of extreme diligence and skepticism. First and foremost, authentication by either PCGS or NGC is non-negotiable. Given the value, counterfeits and alterations exist. You are not looking for a shiny coin. You are looking for a quarter that is the wrong color and feels too light. Focus on the weight and the ring. A bronze planchet will have a dull thud compared to the bell-like ring of a copper-nickel-clad quarter. Do not clean the coin, as this can damage it and harm its value. Let the grading service conserve it if needed. While you will almost certainly not find one in circulation today, your search should be directed towards reputable error coin dealers, major auction houses, and estate sales of advanced collections. Be prepared to invest significantly, as this is not a casual purchase, but a major acquisition. In conclusion, the 1971 D Washington quarter struck on a bronze cent planchet is a modern numismatic legend. Its importance lies in its dramatic minting mistake, its profound rarity, and its powerful story of a coin that was never meant to be. It appeals to the seasoned error collector as a centerpiece of their cabinet, and to the new collector as a stunning example of how exciting and valuable a simple mistake can become. Despite its very dirty condition, it represents a pinnacle find, a piece of monetary history that blurs the lines between our coin denominations in the most tangible way possible. And if you think a quarter on a penny planchet is an astonishing error, wait until we examine the incredible story and even higher stakes surrounding a seemingly ordinary 1969 Lincoln cent with a doubled die so dramatic it can be seen with the naked eye, a coin that sparked lawsuits and mysteries and is worth a fortune. Coin number 3. The 1972 D Washington quarter, struck at the Denver Mint, occupies a surprisingly intriguing position in American numismatics, especially when examined in its most exceptional and ultra-rare forms. While the majority of 1972 D quarters were intended for everyday circulation, a very small number were preserved in extraordinary condition or exhibit distinctive mint anomalies, elevating them into a highly desirable niche of the collector market. Numismatists prize this issue not only for its connection to the long-running Washington Quarter series, but also for the way it reflects the shifting economic and cultural climate of early 1970s America. In today's market, top-grade examples can command around $2,750 and above, making this coin a solid contender for collectors seeking both historical relevance and tangible value. The historical context of the 1972 D quarter is rooted in a transformative era for U.S. coinage. Just a few years earlier, the United States discontinued the use of silver in circulating quarters, signaling a major shift in national monetary policy. By 1972, the quarter was fully composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure, introduced to preserve precious metals for other uses during a time of inflationary pressure and economic uncertainty. Struck in Denver, one of the nation's most productive mints, this coin entered circulation during the tail end of the Vietnam War, a period marked by intense social change and political tension. Although it did not commemorate a specific event, it represented stability in a rapidly changing world, continuing the iconic image of George Washington first adopted in 1932. Visually, the coin adheres to the classic John Flanagan design that dominated much of the 20th century. The obverse features Washington's left-facing profile, dignified and resolute, with crisp inscriptions of liberty and in God we trust. On the reverse, an American bald eagle with outstretched wings perches proudly on a bundle of arrows, flanked by olive branches, symbolizing both readiness for defense and a desire for peace. The 1972 D quarter measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter and weighs approximately 5.67 grams, with a copper core sandwiched between outer layers of nickel. In superior grades, the strike is sharp enough to reveal fine feather details on the eagle and subtle textures in Washington's hair, features that significantly boost its desirability. Rarity for this issue does not come from low mintage alone, but from condition scarcity and unusual varieties. While tens of millions were minted, only a minute percentage survive in pristine, uncirculated, or near-perfect condition. Additionally, some examples display weak strikes, off-center impressions, or die cracks, which can attract specialists interested in error coins. Coins graded MS67 or higher by professional services are exceedingly scarce and may sell for in excess of $4,200, as competition among collectors intensifies for pieces that represent the finest known specimens. It is this dramatic difference between common circulated examples and elite survivors that fuels their appeal. Market value for the most valuable 1972 D quarters is shaped by several elements, including grade, eye appeal, and rarity of variety. A typical circulated coin may be worth only face value, but one in top-tier condition can begin at around $1,850 and climb sharply as quality increases. Certified pieces at MS66 and beyond regularly move into the $3,500 to $5,600 range in reputable auctions, particularly if the coin has exceptional luster and minimal surface marks. Over the past decade, prices for high-grade Washington quarters from the 1970s have demonstrated steady appreciation, supported by a narrowing supply and growing interest in modern-era rarities. For collectors pursuing this coin, careful identification is essential. The small D mint mark located to the right of Washington's braid on the obverse confirms its Denver origin. Seek examples with strong rim definition, full feather detail on the eagle's chest, and clean, undisturbed surfaces. Certification by respected grading services such as PeaceGS or NGC adds legitimacy and market confidence, often increasing resale value significantly. Proper storage is also critical. Coins should be kept in acid-free holders or protective slabs, stored in controlled environments away from humidity and drastic temperature changes. Beyond technical considerations, the 1972 D Washington quarter appeals to collectors because it bridges the gap between classic and modern numismatics. It represents an era when American coinage was transitioning both materially and culturally, yet still maintained traditional artistic elements rooted in national identity. This combination of historical weight and visual familiarity resonates with both seasoned collectors and those new to the hobby, who are drawn to a coin that is accessible in concept but rare in its finest form. In conclusion, the most valuable examples of the 1972 D Washington quarter stand as powerful reminders that rarity is not always defined by age or metal composition, but by preservation, precision, and demand. With premium specimens commanding prices of $2,300, $4,900, or more depending on their grade and uniqueness, this coin has earned a respected place in modern collecting circles. Its historical resonance, consistent aesthetic appeal, and measurable investment potential ensure that it will remain a sought-after treasure for years to come. Last coin, the 1978 D Washington quarter, a seemingly ordinary piece of late 20th century coinage, occupies a fascinating and paradoxical niche in numismatics. While millions were struck, its journey to becoming a coveted ultra-rare specimen is a story defined not by a low mintage, but by the elusive and unforgiving pursuit of perfection. This coin captivates advanced collectors not for its historical scarcity, but for its role as a modern condition rarity, where the absolute pinnacle of preservation intersects with the harsh realities of mass production and circulation. The intense demand for this coin in gem quality stems from its status as a series stopper for the Washington Quarter Series, which concluded in 1998, making flawless examples the final benchmark for completists. Its appeal is thus rooted in the challenge it presents. Finding a coin from a massive issue that somehow escaped even the slightest hint of wear or contact, a quest that transforms a common date into a numismatic trophy. Minted at the Denver facility during an era of high-volume production, the 1978 D quarter was created as purely utilitarian currency, with over 287 million pieces entering the economy. This period was not marked by coinage shortages or commemorative events. Rather, it was a time of inflation and the steady churn of pocket change. The coin's historical significance, therefore, is retrospectively applied by collectors. It represents the end of an era for the traditional Washington quarter design before the introduction of the state quarters program in 1999, making it one of the last issues of a classic, long-running series. Its importance is less about the year it was struck and more about its position as a final, common-date obstacle in assembling a top-tier collection. The Denver Mint's output was reliable and consistent, which ironically makes finding a pristine example so difficult, as most coins were immediately subjected to commercial use and warehoused in bags that allowed for contact and abrasion. The coin's design is the familiar John Flanagan portrait of George Washington on the obverse, with the heraldic eagle on the reverse, a motif that had been in use since 1932. What makes the 1978 D special and high grade are the subtle features that are often lost on circulated pieces. The full, sharp detail in Washington's hair, the distinct lines of the eagle's feathers, and the complete definition of the inscriptions. In flawless mint state condition, the coin's luster is paramount. It should exhibit a brilliant cartwheel effect on both sides, a mesmerizing sheen that radiates from the center when rotated under light. The surfaces must be devoid of any hairlines, bag marks, or toning irregularities. For this issue, even minute contact marks from other coins in the mint bags are enough to significantly diminish its value and status, making a truly pristine example a minor miracle of survival. Rarity for the 1978 D is exclusively a function of condition and preservation. While the population reports from grading services show thousands of examples certified in lower mint state grades, MS 60 to MS 65, the numbers plummet dramatically at the highest tiers. Coins graded MS 66 are genuinely scarce, and examples achieving MS 67 are considered ultra-rare. The jump to a pristine MS 68 is where the coin enters the realm of legendary status, with only a handful of confirmed specimens known to exist. This extreme scarcity at the top end is due to the coin's copper-nickel-clad composition, which is susceptible to marking, and the minting and bagging processes of the time, which were not designed with numismatic preservation in mind. Consequently, a gem 1978 D quarter is not rare because it was sparingly struck, but because it miraculously emerged from a brutal system without flaw. The market value for a typical circulated 1978 D quarter remains face value, but for the condition rarity elite, prices ascend rapidly into the thousands. A specimen graded MS 66 might command a respectable sum of a few $100s, reflecting its quality. However, an example certified as MS 67 can see values ranging from $1,200 to $2,500, depending on the strength of its luster and the attractiveness of its surfaces. The pinnacle, an MS 68, exists in a different financial stratosphere. Auction results for these few coins have consistently realized figures between $4,000 and $5,800, with the record-setting prices achieved by those with exceptional eye appeal and pedigreed provenance. This market is driven by registry-set collectors, those competing to assemble the highest-graded series, for whom this date is a crucial and notoriously difficult hurdle. For collectors pursuing this coin, certification by either PCGS or NGC is an absolute non-negotiable. Raw coins, regardless of appearance, cannot command the premium of a slabbed and authenticated example. Focus should be on the quality of the luster and the absence of distracting contact marks on Washington's cheek and the eagle's breast. It is advisable to study population reports to understand the true scarcity at each grade level. Acquiring such a key coin is best done through established numismatic auction houses or through reputable dealers who specialize in high-grade modern coinage. Patience is essential. Waiting for the right coin with superior eye appeal, rather than settling for the first available example, is a sound strategy. Engaging with specialist communities and forums can also provide valuable insights into upcoming sales and market trends. In conclusion, the 1978 D. Washington Quarter's significance is a powerful testament to the modern collector's pursuit of perfection. It embodies the principle that rarity can be manufactured not by the mint, but by time, circumstance, and an uncompromising standard of preservation. Its aesthetic value lies in the full expression of its intended design, captured in a pristine, unmarred state that belies its humble origins as everyday currency. As a cornerstone for advanced Washington Quarter collections and a blue-chip modern condition rarity, its appeal is enduring. For the discerning numismatist, securing a top-graded example is both a formidable challenge and a sound investment, representing a tangible piece of late 20th century minting history preserved at its absolute finest, with a value that reflects its elite status among the common.